What is going on, everybody? This is your man Monteasy. This is another exclusive Zoom edition of Teasy's Table. I am, your lovable hip hop host, wrestling host of everything that we do here for the AEW, things of that nature. We are now out here making things happen on the show once again. Me, I'm a big music fan. You guys know I'm a big music fan, musician myself. And I like to do my research on people that inspire me, people that I've been inspired by, people that I'm a big fan of for what they do in their music culture, wrestling culture, world culture. What we have on this podcast is someone I truly admire, and I believe, truly in my soul, are great people at what they do. Right now, we have who I feel is one of the best artists I've heard in a long time. She has one of the greatest voices. She's a producer, songwriter. She is an amazing artist. She's been on the grind for a very, very long time. So me and her could definitely talk about this grind, this independent grind that comes in this game as well. But we have been in the trenches. She has been in the trenches. She is so dope. If you guys do not know who that is, this is Bemy Fiasco. How are you doing today, young lady? What is going on?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here. I'm in good spirits. Best part.
Amen. One, I want to thank you for taking this time. I know when you and your team probably saw the request, you was like, "Oh, this is interesting," And I am a wrestling podcaster who podcasts for the WWE, AEW, all over the world. I'm connected with all these guys. I have everybody on here, and I am also a big music head. So what I try to do is I try to branch all the worlds together. And even if you're not a big wrestling fan, or if you were not, or if you're a big music fan, I branch everything together so that we can show a whole world of culture and what we are and what you do. If you guys are not familiar with this young, beautiful lady, she's an amazing singer, producer, as I said. And I like to ask questions to lighten up the mood first. Nothing too serious. I'm going to do this or that, okay? And this is going to lighten up the mood as we get into these questions. Right. So, Tom and Jerry are the Flintstones.
Oh. Let's go the Flintstones. Yep.
Okay. How many years do you say, when you was a little kid, you saw the Jetsons with flying cars? You probably believe that this will be happening by the time we're grown. Now that we're grown adults, how long before we're living like the Jetsons?
Ooh. Well, I give it another 20.
Before we're up in space?
Yeah, before we really, really like everybody. Next 10, it'll be like all the rich people first, and then give it another 10, and then it's slightly accessible for everybody. So maybe 30 to where everybody on the planet could have a flying situation.
Okay, you're starring in the movie. You are the lead actress in the movie. Who is your protagonist, the person that's with you, and who is your antagonist, the person that is the bad guy in the movie, or bad woman?
My protagonist. Okay, let's see. Who do I want to be a villain? Who used to play a really good villain? I like Idris Elba as a villain. He gives me I don't know what we're fighting against, but he gives me good villain vibes. And then my partner in crime, who would I want? Ooh, that's a good. Out of everybody, dang, it's kind of hard. Now I'm thinking about all the actors or actresses I know. And
I'm asking the right questions.
That's the right one. That's the one. Okay. Let me just choose somebody who's gonna help save the day with me. Who am I really gonna choose? I can't think off the top of my head, but I think me and Issa Rae could have fun. That'd be fun.
That'd be dope. Okay. A couple more here. So you are obviously on an island here. They say on the island and there's no food. I'm not going to say that. You're on an island. You have food. You can live. Everything's good, right? Yeah. But you're there for a year. You only take one album with you that is of not a genre you prefer. What are you taking?
One album, a genre I do not prefer.
Do not prefer or listen to a lot. If you're not a big rock fan, but you have to take one album and you just got to give it that chance. You've heard about it, you never give it that chance, but now you have no choice but to listen to it.
Okay. I would take I've never really given this one. I do like a Chris Stapleton album, like the Traveler album, like a little country blues joint.
Okay.
Yeah, because I like him and I've listened to some songs, but I don't think that I've made my way through a full album or all of his albums before. So Chris Stapleton.
What you're willing to answer this and how deep of a perspective you want to go, that's totally up to your leisure. What is one thing about yourself that you consider a flaw yourself that you're working on as a human being?
Ooh, my impatience, depending on the situation.
Do you feel that all of us as artists are naturally impatient?
Yeah, because we're used to creating things from scratch or like ourselves. And so having to wait on something or someone else is kind of rough.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can definitely feel that. And you know what? When you got that get up and go mindset like we do, that hustler mindset, it's very, very hard to put something in someone else's hands or hold on to something. Like we could be like Prince and put an album out every year, right? Why not? I mean, yeah. Right? I mean, you know, that's what we could do, but you know, I hear you. I hear you. I definitely feel you on that one. Last two. Excuse me. Do you feel that in the world of entertainment that longevity has to come with your greatness? Or do you feel like the time you were here, if you were great, you're a legend, the time you were here, you were great, you're a legend, no matter how short it was? Or do you feel like longevity has to do with your greatness?
I think it could be both. I think there are people whose impact, like they did a year or one song or whatever, and that song we still play it and jam it or listen to it or whatever that thing is, we still use it today, and that's fine. And then there's other people who they have a 20-year run, and you know they're great in their own right. So I think it could be either or. I think it's just how you define what is successful and great to you.
Got you. Okay, I hear that a lot with entertainers, because it's people who have had the barbershop conversation of like the Lauryn Hill versus Missy Elliott conversation, stuff like that. And you see the aspect of their careers and how Lauryn Hill's career is or was or still is going, and Missy Elliott's and her longevity. And you start to see the middle in between of, you know, people when they say they compare. Both are great, but just on the longevity aspect is what people have brought that up on. Okay, here's another one. What is a cartoon that everybody loved when you was growing up, but you couldn't stand it? Like, I can't stand, why everybody talking about this? I can't stand this cartoon.
Everything. What was it? Ren and Stimpy, I think.
Yeah, with
the little for me as a kid. They were doing a whole lot, and even as a kid, I was like, "This is weird," you know. And then looking at it now as an adult, I'm like, "No, this was terrible, like absolutely terrible."
I couldn't stand it either. I was never a Ren and Stimpy. I was never really a cow and chicken. I was
there
not.
We go. Yeah, they were cow and chicken. Take that too.
Yeah, I think honestly, I don't mean to. I'm not saying this, but I think a lot of us black folk, we wouldn't get down with that stuff.
Like, yeah, it's some weird stuff we could do, but like it's only so far I could go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's only so far that it could actually go. So, you know, just to break the ice a little bit, I like to get to know everybody a little bit. You know, whether I personally know them, don't, and just ask them random questions and make people think about, you know, what choices and what they favorite in different situations. So, you know, you are an amazing artist. I'm sure you hear that all the time, and I've been able to interview a lot of your counterparts as well. Big Pooh, I've spoken to him. I got something with Eric Roberson coming soon. I'm fascinated with the whole genre of R&B, of soul music, and how that dynamic comes in. And instead of asking you the regular question of music, I want to ask you this: what do you call your standard creative process? Is it, I got to sit down with the music, I got to, you know, go live my life a little bit, or do I just listen to the music while I'm exercising? What is your key go-to on your creative process? Or is it just random? It pop out of nowhere?
Well, first off, thank you for the Nice words. I appreciate it.
Amen.
But second, well, with this project, the approach was a little different. So with the Where I Left You album, I flew out to North Carolina to do the project. We had about 2 weeks to get it done.
Mm.
And it ended up being a third just to get all the content, the behind the scenes stuff that you guys kind of see. But those 2 weeks that we did, when I walked into the studio, Fonte already kind of had the production kind of lined up, minus maybe one or two tracks. So I didn't have a lot of time to like sit with it or kind of like, oh, I'm going to vibe with this for a while. Like it was like, no, we're starting from the top, or which one do you want to start with? So he ran them down to see if I liked them. And I did. Everything that you hear from the album was everything that he ran down for me from the beginning. So we just took it one day at a time, one track at a time, and just sitting. We wrote together for everything first, because I like to write everything first. That way I can sing it when I'm done. Like I don't have to think and write as I go. We took time to write it, and then I would go sing all my parts. And then sometimes, like for a couple of the tracks, like through the middle of the last one, and I think maybe Anywhere, there was a couple where I would engineer myself. So he would be doing something else, and I would just go up to the studio and just record myself because I have my own setup at home. So a lot of the time I work independently from my own space, writing or whatever. And so it was new to be able to do that with somebody else, like in your space, in my thought process. And it was a little nerve wracking because, I said, oh, I have this idea, I want to complete it. I don't want anybody to mess that up before I can get my complete thought out.
Amen.
So, but no, like we worked seamlessly. It was beautiful just because we already had a good understanding. We listened to a lot of the same music. So anytime I was thinking something, he was probably right there. So it flowed like water, to be quite honest.
How do you like? It's funny because I've always been an independent, whether it's podcasting, motivational speaking, music. I grew up sharing a lot with all my siblings, but also grown in this hustle to kind of move on my own, have my own type of ideas and thoughts as I've gotten older, because this is what my passion was. So how do you go along with having this idea and you're dead set on the idea? It could be music or anything. And we'll use you and Fonte for an example. You have this idea, something that's dead set in your head, but somebody else might have, and luckily you guys agree, but an opposing viewpoint or a viewpoint to where you guys are just, the idea is just not coming out the way that you feel, either from their opinion or from working together with someone. How do you work through that in that creative space?
You work through that by remembering like what the song is about and what it's for. It's always for the greater good. So my idea versus his idea, it's whatever's going to make it sound the best. And so if that, we're both willing to bow to the other if it's for the greater good of the song. And so there were many times where I was like, he'd be like, no, try this, do this. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm not, whatever, but we would try it. We would do it anyway, or vice versa. And then it's like, okay, yeah, nah, like I'm messing with that. Like, for example, what is that track? Is it 8? Nah. Either way, You and I on the project, I did not like whatsoever. And he was very adamant, like, this is going on the album. And I'm like, I'm not feeling this. Like, I could not write to it. Nothing was coming to mind. I'm like, I don't know. And so I think I ended up freestyling the beginning and like the hook, to be quite honest. And we kind of went through that. Like I freestyled that back to the crib. When I got to North Carolina, he was like, we're finishing this song. And we put it on there, and that's one of my most popular ones. And I despise that song. Like I did. I was like, I don't like this. I don't feel it. But here we are. So greater good. Like I said, greater good.
Absolutely. It's funny how you have like those kind of situations. Me and my brother Swerve, he's a pro wrestler. We have these ideas, and we're both very, very passionate people. And we're very, very bullheaded sometimes in what we believe in. But luckily we've been working together 5 years. So we got through those kinks of that time. We kind of understand each other now after 5 years. So I kind of know where he's going. But I also understand our differences too. Like me being a solo artist as well as working in a group with him, a lot of times I'm the experienced one. I've been making music 15 years. I got him into making music, and he's been making music about 2 years. So when it comes to the group, I kind of just cower out because, not cower out, now I said bow out, because it's like, you know what? I have my own thing. So I don't want to get into the group and have it sound like me too. So this is he's into Travis Scott's, he's into the Tyler the Creators, and I'm into the Nas's and you know, the Talib Kweli's and the Fontes and the Little Brothers. So I'm more into that side of things. And so it's like, when it comes to the group, can you imagine that whole dynamic on one song? It's like, nah, I'll stick to his side on this, on the group part, because it'll creatively help him more than me just being on my side and him trying to blend him to my world. Nah, you know, so I totally understand what you're saying. You have this whole creative process. You guys you have this project out, and even songs on there that you might not even have favorite now you have on there. Do you feel like, not only the reception, but you know, you as an artist, after being in here for a decade, if you had to tell yourself something, the younger you something now that you know now, in a positive way, what would you say to yourself? A young Bemy Fiasco, your first equipment, you got your studio, your mic for the first time, you're like, I'm gonna do this, and then it's you right now sitting next to her, like, okay, what do you tell
her? Stay consistent, just to be consistent. That's really it. Like, it will all figure itself out, and you're going to go through a whole bunch of things, and it's going to look real grim a lot of the time, but just keep going. Like, stay consistent, stay vigilant, stay visible, you know, just kind of stay where people can see you and just keep experiencing. Because there were a lot of times where it wasn't that I couldn't record, it's just that I hadn't lived enough yet. So like, I did a mixtape in 2016, and when that was done, I was like, well, what am I supposed to talk about next? So it took me years to figure out, like, what is this going to be? And then, of course, with the help of Fonte, by then it had been like 5 years since the last project. I had plenty to say, lots of life lived. And yeah, I tell people, just keep going, because it's like right when you're on the edge, it's like right there.
Absolutely. Who are some people? Let's give a shout out to the people behind the scenes, the people that we might not hear about, the people in your life that, you know, kept you going when you wanted to give up, or you wanted to stop, or, you know, those hard days. Even if you didn't want to stop, there's some hard days, like, I don't know how long I could do this. Let's give a shout out to those people. Who are some of the people in your life that really motivated you and said, you know what, don't stop, keep pushing? Family members, friends, who are some of those people?
During my early days, my parents definitely, even though I think my mom has always been in my corner, my dad just now kind of realized, like, the gravity. Like, he knew I did music, but I think he really understands what it is now. But my parents definitely, some of my early homies, a guy by the name of Leland, he's in California now. We were like writing, we would do like speed writing and just finding random tracks on Bandcamp or SoundCloud just to practice with. Just any of the, like, my early homies who would just let me like come in the studio and just sit there, or but I will say a lot of my journey kind of was by myself. It was me in my room with my MacBook and my mind, just hashing out whatever came to mind. And there are days where I missed that freedom, where I didn't have the pressure of, oh, I have to make something. It was just whatever came to mind, you know. So but mostly my family, of course, you know, now with the team, they've been great. Just, you know, between Tay and Zoe and Carmen and Carlita and Darian and just everybody who's just kind of been pushing to get this project off the ground, or just, you know, gave encouraging words. That's been most of it, to be quite honest. It's still surreal some days.
You know, first of all, man, I gotta give you a shout out, because listening to your music, Her Bad Dream, I heard that and I was like, yo, she's got it, man. You know, people, you just, certain people, it's like, you know, I've been wrestling, so I watch people wrestle and I'm like, this guy's got it, this guy, yeah. And it's the same thing with music. Sometimes you can just sit back and listen to it, and I watch the video and I'm just listening. I'm like, man, this is why I've been a fan of that whole imprint since 2011. And I've just been stuck on it. To give you a quick story, it's not on me, but to give you a quick story, I remember going to my friend's Ariel's house. And at the time, I got on Little Brother late. I was not one of the people that had the first album. And, you know, the Minstrel Show was the first time I heard him. So my friend was like, you need to listen to this. And then I'm listening, like, yo, I'm listening to Fonte rap. I'm like, yo, who is this? Like, this dude is fire. And then I'm like, yo, this is fun. This is Little Brother. So I'm like, okay, Okay, so I'm listening to the album. I took the dude's album. I took it. I took the album and I listened to it, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Who is this? Then years later, I hear about foreign exchange and all this. I'm like, and then I'm just doing the research. I've been following the whole conglomerate. And then when I see that you Fonte and you're working together, I'm just like, yo, this is an amazing imprint of all the talent that all these guys are working with. Tell me a little bit about the whole experience of all this. Like, has this been a dream for you? Is this like each and every day you're sitting back and you're like, wow, I've come a very, very long way. Not only just being probably knowing who they are, but just knowing for yourself, like saying, you know what, I made it a long way feeling from where I came from.
Um, yeah, it is very surreal. There are still days where I wake up and I'm like, I'm really doing this. Like, and I didn't have any knowledge of Low Brother. I came during the foreign exchange stint of things, so I had to get that.
Mm.
So I found Tay during foreign exchange. And so I remember, and I have tweets like saying like, oh, I'm gonna work with them one day. Like this was maybe like 2013 or something. And I showed it to him like a couple months ago. And he was like, whoa. I was like, yeah, no, like I claimed it, like I willed it, like I knew I was going to, just because of our musical style. Like I could feel in the music, like this is somewhere where I belong, because they understood sonically everything they did I liked. And so I was like, no, this feels like a really good place. And so of course, we meet on Twitter and we just kind of chop it up and exchange things and just kind of go from there. And so one day he just asked me like, hey, like, what are you looking to do? And I'm like, yo, let's, do an EP or whatever. I'm thinking I'm doing a house joint or a 3-track, R&B joint. And he's like, you want to do a little more than that? And I'm like, okay, cool. So we just start, I'm just like, all right, but even then it still wasn't real until that day I told you, like I walked in, the songs are already there. And I'm like, oh, we're doing 11 songs. Okay, like I had no plan, I didn't really know what to expect. So when it was finally done and it was out, it took me a really long time for it to kind of click. Like, oh yeah, no, we're here. It has been a very, like you say, it's been a very long time coming. That was the day when the album came out. It was like, ooh, it's been a long time. Like that.
Yeah.
Because I never thought we would be with the full out. Like I didn't know when or what was going to happen. And so for it to be with Fonte and the team was beautiful.
I feel you. I know, been in the wrestle music industry. For everybody who knows my background, for all you guys on Teasy's table who knows this, my background. For all you music fans, I've been producing and making music for professional wrestlers when they come out for 8 years now. I've been making music for those guys. Mm-hmm. So it's been a long journey. And then the first time you might hear your music on TV, or you might hear your music, you might see a music video or something that you know that you did. And it's an amazing feeling. It almost feels like all that validation, that all that hard work, you're like, wow, it's finally getting somewhere. And then the whole other side is understanding the whole business. And it's like, oh God, that's a whole nother world, is understanding the whole business of what we do. I ain't got time to get to that. But that's just, a whole nother world and a whole nother thing that if you don't have people to walk you through it, or, people you can't ask questions and talk to, that whole thing that's right. A whole nother lane and a whole nother thing to talk about. But, just that feeling of what you did and how you put all that work into what you did, and now you finally get a chance to see that, come to fruition. Let me ask you this. Let's go to the future you. 20 years from now, it's the future you. What goals do you want to accomplish? Not only in music, not just let's take it deeper than music, life as well. What are some goals that when it comes to your music, your life, 20 years from now, you want to say, you know what? If I hang my hat as Bemy Fiasco, I did everything I wanted to do. What are those goals? Life goals included.
Let's see. Well, I want to still be able to kind of move and record as I want to, but not out of obligation. So it's like if I want to do an album or I want to do features, I have the flexibility to do so. And then I want to do music in every capacity, whether that's sync through TV and film, whether that's children's shows, whether that's children's music, whether that's, whatever genre that is, voiceover work, film, acting, anywhere that's entertainment really would be great. I'm a former graduate student, so I took a break with the album to be a therapist. So maybe my own private practice for other creatives who need the help.
Fire.
So that was on the table before the album. So I was teaching kindergarten, and I was also in grad school to be a therapist. So my schedule was super heavy. So that was the reason why I had to go fly out to North Carolina, because I had the summer, had a few weeks before I had to be back to teach. And so getting out there, it was like, yeah, we may have to make some adjustments. Like the album was doing a lot better. So it's like, we had to figure some things out. So I put the grad school on hold, at least for the time being, and probably for the foreseeable future. But maybe later on down the line, we'll revisit.
You know, it's crazy. It's funny because it's funny how the dynamics of life work, right? Because you said, you teach kindergarten, correct? But you also said that you also struggle with impatience too. So to put 3, 4, 5-year-old kids in a situation, and then you having to be able to have that patience to teach kids and knowing how these people are raising their kids nowadays, and to be able to and to be able to balance that says a lot, and to be creative and have that patience as well, and to balance that impatience. That shows a lot of work. So I see why the therapy thing could work, because you had to do, I appreciate you do a lot of inner soul searching on getting some kind of mastery in that thing you're working on, to be able to not only teach but to make music as well. So shout out to you for that on a deeper, mental level, on a spiritual level. That's a big ups to you, because that's something that takes a lot of inner work to be able to do. I have my own kids, and I'm just like, good God, man, like.
No, I mean, with teaching, I had the patience for everyone else. It's more so for me. Like,
okay.
Mostly, like, but with kids, I don't know where the patience comes from, because I don't think I'm a very patient person. But clearly, teaching 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds, that's nothing but patience, literally all day, every day. So it's somewhere in there. Maybe I'm just not tapping into it for myself.
Right. But you know what? The funny thing is, it's like I think we all battle that. We all battle that impatience and many different things in walks of life. And as we get older, we learn how to channel it. I think a lot of us do. One thing I want to bring up as well for yourself is, you're looking at, you have a great project out. You're working with who you want to work with. You have this great imprint with Foreign Exchange. You came on Foreign Exchange, and I came my little brother. Funny how the universe works on everything with music and how it connects people together, right? So, what are some other things that you into? Let's skip past music for a minute. We got to the music side. Let's get to some other things. What other things are you into? Bemy Fiasco. When you're at the crib, you're at the house. What are some things you like to do? Other things outside of your profession. Other things that's on your mind, on the menu.
Other things. Let's see. It's getting cold, so I'm like a grandma now. I can crochet things like scarves, hats. It keeps my hands busy. Like, as a creative, you have to build things or touch things with your hands. Some people make things or do other forms. Like, I have to do something with my hands. So crocheting right now. I'm a runner. I love to run, like outdoors, preferably. I'm an outdoor runner. Let's see. Picked back up the guitar, so learning that. No, that's still music related, but going back to learning an actual instrument would be great. Food, love eating. Ribs are my jam. It's what I do.
Okay.
What else? Reading. I'm always reading or listening to books. Avid reader. Yeah, I'm just now having like some more free time now that I'm not in grad school. And so, I'm not writing papers anymore all day, every day. So now I'm trying to occupy my time, and it's new. So I'm trying to find more hobbies and more things to do.
Those are great great hobbies, and seeing what people always like to sink their teeth into, that is passionate. What is something that you're passionate about? Like, let's say you're a musician, some, like a lot of men, they're not ball players. Their profession is this, but they're like really passionate about the NBA, or they're really, you might be a artist, but you're really passionate about movies and acting and actresses, and the history of this and that. What is something that you're very, very passionate about? You're the barbershop debates, you and your homegirls or homeboys will debate it all day. that has nothing to do with music? What's something that is a pastime of yours that you're very passionate about?
Well, I mean, being a grad student, I'm a huge mental health advocate at this point. So I'm always looking to, make sure people go to therapy, make sure that they can find the right resources or access to resources, especially my Black and brown people.
Amen.
So, yeah, I'm always like, if we're gonna be talking about like taking care of ourselves, I'm always like, let's talk about the mental. I know we always talk about the physical, but like let's talk about up there, especially when it's getting cold. Daylight savings and things are different. So like, I'm definitely gonna run you a good mental health topic. Super passionate, but in a toxic relationship with the Dallas Cowboys. We can have a great conversation about them. That's very hurtful currently, but it's cool. Let's see, Cowboys. Ribs, like I said, ribs is the thing. Like, I don't know if I need a show for that, but I'm probably gonna have to like create my own on like Facebook or something just about trying ribs, making ribs, sauces. I don't know, but
sounds like a video podcast to me.
It sounds like fun to me. So that may have to come down the pipeline. I'll talk to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those are the ones.
That's crazy because I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, and we were doing good. And then everybody started getting hurt, and then it just, we've been like this close for like 30 years, and I don't understand it.
Same.
You know what I mean? I don't get it. I've sat here as a 33-year-old man, and I've been patient. I've been waiting for my time to hold a Super Bowl in my house, and it hasn't happened. So I'm waiting. Like the Cowboys are waiting for their ring in your lifetime too. So I understand. I get it. It's funny because when it comes to mental health in our people, it's funny because I sit back and I say, man, there's a lot of untapped and unpackaged traumas that a lot of us grow up with as our people, and that people will not think that, oh, that's just how your grandmother is. Or, that's just how your cousin is. Or that's just what your cousin did. Back in the day, people were just married for 40 years. They did whatever, but they just stayed together. And it's just it's a lot to unpack. And, sitting back, I'll give you a little bit something about myself. Like, I did not know the value of relationships and how a man is naturally treated a woman, because I didn't grow up around that. And I didn't know the elements of what it took to be a man to take care of a woman until I got older and went through my heartbreak and went through my experiences to learn, because I didn't have that in my household. Now, I'm a good dude, never anything negative towards a woman like that, nothing like that. I just had to learn relationships and how that worked, because I didn't grow up with a man figure. I had my dad in my life, but my dad was in another state. So I didn't have that house figure in my home to see interactions of a man loving my mom. So I had to learn on the fly. And a lot of times when you learn on the fly, there's a lot of mistakes. I had to go to therapy for that. I did go to therapy because I was like, what is wrong with me? He's like, you just never had that example. You never had that, the things that your fear, a sense of abandonment has a lot to do with that, and you just not knowing. You know what I mean? And a lot of things that I did not know at the time. So being able to understand that as a man, swallow my pride, take that, and understand what I needed to do to make it better. I said, you know what? I need to get away from it for a while. So I've been to myself while working on these things for a couple of years now, and not bring anyone into my world until I'm able to really have an understanding of who I am as a man. So it's been, when you said therapy, like, it's funny because I went through my sessions and so much has gotten better with myself through my mental checklist. And I want to salute to you for that and putting so much into that, because that's needed out here.
Yeah.
It's very, very much needed. And definitely will be looking out for anything you have towards that in your future, whatever you do, you decide to put the full time into it. And I'm definitely going to support you and all that you have going on there. Other things as well, like, what is have you been keeping up with anything new that's going on? You've been watching BMF, anything new that's been going on? Have you been watching anything that's been going on in the world right now? You just been to yourself in your creative process?
I try to stay up as best as I can. I keep up with Insecure. So I've been watching that. What have I been binging lately? Man, I think I binged. I saw the Kevin Hart Wesley Snipes joint. That was pretty cool.
My mom told me about that. She said I need to check it out.
You know, that one's really good. Like Kevin with like a little more drama. I know he's had other ones, but like this is the one where you're like, okay, I could see it. He did pretty well. I was proud. Let's see who I haven't caught up on much. What else? Love Life on HBO. Ted Lasso. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I've been kind of one off it. I'm like a crime murder person too. So I like a good documentary, a docu-series about something. So yeah, no, I think that's it for now. You got anything you want to put me on to?
You watched the Wu-Tang series?
I watched, I think, the first season. I think I'm behind.
Okay, yeah, catch up on that, man, because the second season is the best.
Okay.
Second season is amazing. That's when they start getting to that fame and they start taking off. And it is that second season is where everything starts to unravel and the music starts getting heard. And yeah, they did amazing second season on that one. Did you ever watch House?
I did watch House. I loved House.
I love that show. I'm going back to rewatch it over again. The whole every season. I love that show. You know what I mean?
That's
just
problem solving. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm into that. I'm into crime. I'm into the crime too. Like I can't watch Snap though. Snap is a little too extreme. Like that's like I can watch it, but then I watch it and I'm kind of like, well, this is kind of like, is this gonna mess with my traumas or not? You know what I mean?
No, I got you.
Because they be going, and then some of the stuff be happening in my city in like St. Pete, in Florida, where I'm at. And I'm like, about 4 or 5 of them, I was like, they going there, what?
Yeah, nah. I listened to Crime Junkie, the podcast, and they be talking about like little known, like it's two younger like white women, and they just like the storytelling on how they tell the stories, and they're like some of the big ones, but a lot of like little known ones from like around the world, and some of them stories are wild. So anytime I need my crime fix, I just put on the podcast joint and I'll let it go. But yeah, I gotta balance it out with something light. So then I'll move over to like some Ted Lasso or something real, regular, because then it gets a little heavy. So I get you.
couple last things I want to ask you here. And once again, thank you for coming on. I don't want to keep you all night, and would love to have you back someday. Wrestling fans, music fans, you guys, I like to blend the whole world together. And then she might not even be a wrestling fan, but I'm gonna ask her a few things just to see where her mind, or see where she grew up on and what she grew up on as wrestling fans. Okay, so let me ask you this: were growing up, are you around my age group of early 30s or in age group?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So growing up, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you had siblings watching it or if you watched it yourself, were you a Stone Cold person or a Rock person?
I was a Rock person.
Yeah, me too. I was always Rock. Me too.
Yeah.
Rocky. You started okay, anybody can answer this general question. You don't have to be a huge wrestling fan to answer this.
Okay.
You start a wrestling company, right? And you're like, man, I need a person to start my company with that's going to be my champion. This person is going to be my champion. They're going to represent the company. You got to pick a man and a woman. Who are you picking?
Do I know any women wrestlers?
Anybody that you might know.
I mean, I got to go with The Rock because I just mentioned him on the guy's side. But I see every now and then I had an ex who really liked wrestling, so I'm trying to go back to that time.
Yeah, go back to your time period. Yeah, your time period.
No, I'm really trying to think. So yeah, I would use The Rock, but like, what's the girl's name? We have the same name. The girl. What's her name? She recently, like it's a girl. What's her name? It's Bianca too, right?
Bianca Belair.
Yeah, there we go. I saw her and she looks fun. And so
there you go. Okay. There you go. She's amazing. She's amazing. And she's one of us.
Is it the ponytail?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
We go. Okay, well then yeah. I got a little bit. I see her every now and then. She looks fun. So I'm gonna go with her.
She's a very nice person, humble, and she's one of us. So I'm always gonna support that.
Okay,
I'm always going to support that. Definitely being one of us, and she represents it well, and ain't out here jogging for $1, so I got to give her respect. Also, if you look back and you could say, what is the best piece of advice somebody has given you that you still need to apply? What is it? See, damn, that's a true statement. I'm just, damn, somebody's, it's a true statement. You might try to live by it, but you might not be there yet, or it might be something from your past, but they give you this one piece of advice.
There is, let me see if I can find it. There's a quote, and I don't want to misquote it, but I read it and I try to stick with it as best as I can. But it's about decision making. And there it is. It's a Gordon Graham quote. It is. Okay, so it's decision is a sharp knife that cuts clean and straight. Indecision, a dull one that hacks and tears and leaves rugged edges behind it. And when people say, like, measure twice, cut once, or
right,
something like that. So being like, whatever decision, like, make a decision, don't waver with it, because indecision is always going to leave some stuff behind, or you're going to waver with certain things. So I'm gonna measure twice, but I'm cutting once. Like, I'm being firm with whatever choice I make, and I'm standing like 10 toes on whatever that is.
Amen. This is something that I've said to myself. It's understanding life and understanding the decisions that we make. But I also believe, are you a more spiritual person, or are you a religious person, or neither?
A little bit of both.
Okay. So me being more to the spiritual side of things, I just talking to God and just sitting back and understanding that if you meet this grind and all your dreams halfway, if you're able to put into work and go through these hard days, you are able to accomplish anything out here, man. I see people like yourself, other great artists, entertainers, fellow entertainers in this game, and just seeing all their stories, where they came from, their backgrounds, the things that they had or didn't have, the disadvantages, the advantages, and see how all these people were able to make, especially the good folks in the game. It's great to see where these stories come from, because I know you 10 years ago, you had no idea how you was going to get to where you're at now. Yeah. And you're just there with a microphone. You're like, you know what? I'm just going to sing. I'm going to find beats. And it's funny how the universe just connects everything. God will just connect everything. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, oh, I know this happened. I can perform here. I never performed live before. I can do this. I can do that. Oh, I know this person. I'm on Twitter doing this. And then you tweet 2013, I'm going to work with Fonte someday. And it just goes into the universe. You just forget about it. It didn't leave your mental Rolodex. Yeah. But you just kept grinding. Then damn near 10 years later, almost, look where you're at. Mm-hmm. You sit in the studio like, I'm writing music with this dude. Like, what the hell? It'll happen like that. You know? And I try to tell everybody, people, this is possible. If you put it into the universe, you give it to God, and you don't stress about it, you work on it each and every day. You put in, I call it like the change to the piggy bank. You just put 10 cents each day. You put a little something into something. You don't have to kill yourself every day working hard, super hard. You don't have to do that, but just put something towards your dream. Buy a beat, or purchase some studio time for later if you do that, or go on that jog, or go to the gym. Something towards your goal, it'll happen. You put a little something towards it, it'll always happen. And I know you get a lot of requests. There's a lot of things that I will say this live on air. There's a lot of things I'm pretty sure music wise you get. It's a lot of things that you get offered. I know that wrestling is not necessarily something that you watched or are very, very big on, but I believe that with the creative process, and I would love to send something to your team on that realm. I was able to get 2 songs with the great music Soul Child on my next project. He actually decided to try it out, and the songs came out great. I would love to send something to you, as far as at least listening to it and say, you know what, that's pretty dope. Just to get your feedback. Not asking anything from you specifically, but just for you to listen to it and say, hey, you know what? No, I see what he's doing. You know what I mean? So I would love to send it to you, your team, just to hear it, just to give it a check out. You know, whatever your opinion is, and just to see what you know, what the lane that I'm doing in my little corner over here, and love to just get your opinion on it. That's all. If you would ever be so kind.
Yeah, definitely, of course.
Absolutely. You know, one last thing before we're out of here. You know, if there's anybody out there that has any advice or do you have any advice or any goals for the young you that's watching this? Because I get a lot of people that hate about a lot of our fan base here in the wrestling game. It's 12-year-olds to 50-year-olds on this channel, YouTube channel we have here. It's a lot of different demographics for what we range in. So, you know, for that young lady or male, but I would say specifically that young lady that can relate to you, that wants to sing or follow her dreams, what is the first thing that you tell her? Any advice? I'm gonna give you the solo cam, and you let them know exactly what's going on. That little young girl say, "Bemy Fiasco, I want to do what you do for a living." What do you tell
her? Make what you want, and the people will come. That is, or you know, decide on what it is that you want and just keep pushing forward relentlessly to whatever that is, no matter the distraction or whatever kind of pops up. If it does not align with where you're going or what you want to do, like, leave it, you know, because it'll get you to your goal faster. So but ultimately, yeah, go out and make what you want, not what's hot, not what you think is hot, not what you think is cool, but like stay true to you and what you want to do. And that's in any creative, you know, field, art, photography, music, whatever. Go make what you want because there's room for you. So just make what you want and the people will find you.
Amen. Amen. You know, I am more than, you know, humbled and thankful for you and your team for accepting this. This is going on our WWE sponsored YouTube channel for the Swerve City podcast, Teasy's Table podcast as well for our channel, where we've had some of the greats on here, and now we've had one of the greatest on here with Bemy Fiasco. She is an amazing songwriter, amazing producer, arranger, artist. I mean, she said, y'all, you heard what she said. She said she does it all on her own, man, in the crib. Like, that's patience I ain't got. I tried it. And I went back to the old.
Well, no, I don't produce per se. Like I'll find the chords and I'll find what I like and I'll send it and then we all kind of work together. I wouldn't say that I do that part, but as far as like arranging, like vocals and harmonies and like what I want and what I hear, definitely.
I think they call that like the Diddy kind of producing. You hear it, you know it. You know what I'm saying? You know it. You might not necessarily play it or, you know what I mean? But you could produce it to know how you want it to sound. Like, right. Oh no, like this, oh no, play it like this. You know what I mean? Like you know that. Mm-hmm. So you know what I mean? That's another form of producing. You know, that's another form of it. It's just, you know, having that ear, hearing colors with your ears, you know, with your sounds. You know what I mean? Colors with sounds. Yeah. You know, tell everybody where they can follow you, where they can hit you up at for business as well as the new album. Tell everybody what's popping right now in Bemy Fiasco's world.
Uh-oh. Sorry. So you can find everything at BeMyFiasco.com or on any social media platforms under Bemy Fiasco. So that's BEMY Fiasco, all one word, all lowercase. I'm on everything. So, you know, all streaming platforms, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, you know, Apple Music, all of those, everything. And then if you just want to know about me, same thing, all social media platforms under Bemy Fiasco as well. Album Where I Left You is out everywhere as well.
Where I Left You. Make sure you guys go get that, man. This is Teasy from Teasy's Table. Monteasy, you guys see my mug every week on this podcast. I have some of the greatest on here. She is an amazing artist. And one thing I want to put in the universe, since we're talking about the universe right now, I want to put something into the universe, right? Really quick while she's on here. I've been able to speak to the great rapper Pooh. I've been able to talk to him. He's been on this show. I've been able to speak to the great Bemy Fiasco. I have the great Eric Roberson on here. Fonte, my guy, you got to get on here someday. Someday. We're gonna put this in the universe, and I'm just like she put it in the universe. I'm gonna do the same thing. To be able to speak to one of my inspirations would be great. I was able to speak to one of them in Pooh. To be able to speak to my other one would be great. Universe, we're gonna put that into the air. She is an amazing artist. She works with the greatest. She's down for it. Exchange music. That's Nicolay, him, man. I am a stan of all that. Like Take Off the Blues was it for me for like 5 years. That's the only song I listened to for 5 years. Like I want to know, and Take Off the Blues was like it for me for like my grandmother was like, yo, what is this? I was like, yo, you got to get on this. Grandma was on this. So, you know, we'll put that into the universe. We'll let that cook up how it cooks up. But, you know, thank you for coming on. I truly appreciate your time. I'm a big fan of your work. I am, you know, looking forward to seeing what you're doing, not only with the music, but with mental health, I'm going to check back in, see how you're doing with your degree. We're gonna talk, get some, maybe have some more shows. I'm gonna check in with you on the Wu-Tang, and maybe later sometime in 2022, get you back on and catch back up.
Sounds good to me.
All right, you have yourself a great holiday, great Christmas. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving as well. Give the family my best and much love. Keep kicking their ass, man. You up?
Thank you, and thank you for having me. This was great. I appreciate it.
Anytime. God bless you. Okay, have a good one.
You too.
Peace.
Now let go.